Hey, it's Amy in Cancerland. I started this channel probably several months ago now, and I just haven't felt particularly compelled or inspired on my first video until yesterday. So, welcome to my channel. This is my first video on this channel. I do have another channel on YouTube. I actually have a few channels, but I have another channel that I'm pretty actively involved with, and I wanted to start a totally new project. So, welcome to my channel. Today, I want to talk about one aspect of the experience of having had a mastectomy. So in 2003, I had a bilateral mastectomy. I didn't really have so much of a choice. I mean, I guess I could have told my doctors no, but it wasn't like they gave me much of an option. I consulted 4 different doctors, and all 4 of them absolutely hands down said, you have to do this, you have to do a bilateral, you'll die if you don't. So in 2003, I had a bilateral modified radical mastectomy, meaning they took everything. They didn't spare any skin. They left no tissue. I had lymph nodes on both sides of my axilla and my armpits taken out. And, essentially they stretched one part of the skin to the other part of the skin and sewed it together. And so that's what a modified radical looks like. It's pretty aggressive. It's the most aggressive surgical procedure for people that have had breast cancer. So that happened in 2003. I was 30 years old at the time. I will someday make another video talking about that whole decision process and how that went for me, why I chose not to get reconstruction and all of that. But suffice it to say that I chose not to get reconstruction. So I essentially have been breastless since 2003. Long time now. In a lot of ways it's been liberating, and I'll talk about that in another video as well. But one of the liberating factors of it is that you don't have to wear a bra, which is really nice. But yesterday I'm in a Facebook group for other women who've been through mastectomy, and a woman was telling a story about how she went to visit her brother in prison. I visited in someone in prison before, so I know there's like this whole procedure that you have to go through to get cleared to go into the meeting area where you meet with the inmate. So you have to get checked out, patted down, you have to have the right kind of shoes on, the right kind of clothes, all this kind of thing. It's a pretty strict protocol. Well, she was talking about how she went to visit her brother in prison, and she went through this whole protocol, and a female guard was patting her down and became upset and agitated about the fact that the woman didn't have a bra on. Well, she also had had a bilateral mastectomy, so she had no breasts. Well, apparently that was one of the rules in that prison. It is that all females had to be wearing bras. I mean, I guess there's maybe obvious reasons for this. Yeah. And so, she explained to the woman, well, I don't wear a bra because I don't have breasts, but the woman just wouldn't, get it past her head that this was the rule and you're a female, therefore you have to wear a bra. So it created this big problem, and eventually she, was able to overcome that and go visit her brother. But it brought back a memory for me quite a few years ago where I went through a similar thing. I went to a public swimming pool with my kids, and I don't have breasts. I don't wear prosthetic breasts. And so because of that, wearing a bathing suit as a female is very challenging because one pieces naturally have breasts, built in. And so they would just sort of like be floppy and saggy if I tried to wear one piece. And 2 pieces, the same thing. Oftentimes, if people's bodies are different, like proportional size, the top half and the bottom half aren't the right, size for the person's body and this and that. So obviously I'm a larger woman, and so my bottom size would be a certain size, but my top size, I have no breasts, so it's obviously going to be quite a bit smaller, right? So this creates a real dilemma. And so what I did is I just put a bathing suit on and put a t-shirt, bathing suit bottom, and wore a t-shirt on my top. Well, one of the rules of the public pool is that you can't come in wearing any clothing, especially a t-shirt. And I understand fundamentally the reason why, because when they get wet, they get very heavy, and it can become a drowning hazard for people that aren't really adept swimmers, particularly children. But here I am, a grown woman, and I'm wearing a t-shirt to cover myself up, because what else do? I can't go topless, and I have no breasts, and no bathing suit will fit me correctly on the top. Even like the yoga or sports bras that women wear, a lot of times, although they're tighter around, they still have like this built-in extra space for breasts, especially, if they're going to be large enough to fit around me. Typically, you ladies know, if you're like a size 0, typically, you're going to have, much smaller size breasts. And so the bra or the sports bra that fits around a woman that is that tiny in the chest is also going to have a smaller breast area. So to find something that's large enough to fit around my chest, the breast area is considerably larger, and here I am. I don't have any breast to fill that out. So I was wearing this shirt, and they basically didn't want for me to come in. I had no alternative. I didn't bring any other alternative. I tried explaining to them, look, I've had a mastectomy. Here's my situation. I can go completely topless if you like. I'm okay with that. And of course no, they didn't want that. So they ended up acquiescing and allowing me to come into the pool. I really wasn't there to, get deep into the water anyway. So yeah, that's my brief story of one of my experiences of being a woman that's had a bilateral mastectomy and not had reconstruction and not having breasts, and the challenge that can present, in a public community space for people that don't have a concept of that and can't seem to accommodate it in some sort of way. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'd love to know if you've had similar experiences, and just open up this dialogue about what it's like to, be a woman living with a bilateral mastectomy and not having had reconstruction, the challenges. And I have many more that I'm sure I'll talk about in times to come. But today, that was my first video on my channel to talk about that, what it's like to be boobless and live in the culture that we live in. All right, have a great day, you guys.